A world that holds creation's greatest treasure.
He who controls the spice controls the universe.
But speaking of regrets, let's talk about David Lynch's Dune. Now, I don't regret watching this movie. I kind of love it. But David Lynch himself regrets making this movie, which is funny because a lot of the actors that he uses in all of his projects since were actors he met on the set of Dune. And personally, I really love the aesthetic of this movie. I really love the first 2/3 of it. It's really interesting. I feel like they deliver the story in a very interesting way. The first part of the Dune novel is probably my favorite part of that book too. All the espionage and political stuff, like all that stuff in the first part of the Dune book is so awesome. And I think they do a decent job. I mean, like everyone in that movie is constantly narrating their thoughts. It's like information overload. And I think the reason why they did that is the book itself is so dense, and they're like, how do we deliver all this information to you? And I guess they're the closest thing they could figure out how to do that was just to have people constantly narrating in their minds. And at times it works, but most of the time it doesn't. But it's really interesting to see a lot of these actors that I've become so familiar with outside of this movie. Like Patrick Stewart, I think plays Gurney. He either plays Gurney or Duncan Idaho. No, Duncan Idaho's... They kill off Duncan Idaho really fast. Duncan Idaho has almost no character in this movie. But Gurney is more of a character, and he's played by Patrick Stewart, and the man just who until recently just never aged. And there's the pugs, and my favorite part of that movie, my favorite part of Dune, is they have the Mentat. The Baron Harkonnen has the Mentat of the Atreides, and he's like, I've put poison in your system, and the only way you can get the antidote for this poison is you have to milk this cat every day for the antidote. And he brings out a cat, and it's a bald cat with a rat duct taped to it. And he's like, you have to milk this cat, and it's never brought up ever again. There's actually a toy of this, and I really want this toy, and I don't need it. I'm trying not to buy like dumb, useless things. Like I hate Funko Pop stuff. I don't want to have any more of those things, and man, it's such a weird like thing that happened. But yeah, I like that movie. I like it to a degree. I like how weird it is. There's actually a fan edit of the movie. And in recent years, when I do return to the David Lynch Dune, I've been watching the fan edit, which is a combination of the theatrical version, the extended cut, and the TV cut, I believe. And it tells a more whole story. And which is great for me because I really like the book. And I feel like when it covers the first volume of the book, it is really strong, and then it completely falls apart when it goes into the last 2 volumes of the original Dune novel. Because they summarize it in like 40 minutes, at least in the extended cut I've been watching. In the theatrical cut, like the fan edit I watch is like 3 hours long. The theatrical cut is 2 hours. And I can't quite remember how that movie goes, but I remember it just completely falls apart in that third act. Because they're summarizing basically, like, I think it's supposed to take 4 years in the novel, all that stuff, and they're trying to summarize it all. It's a very, very flawed, but very, very interesting movie, in my opinion. And there clearly is something there, because I keep going back to it. I think probably David Lynch was the worst choice for the movie, and I think Dino De Laurentiis chose him for the movie because he saw Eraserhead and was like, this is a weird movie. Dune seems like a weird story. Hey, you do Dune, you know, and that might have been a bad choice, but I love all the weird little things that I think only David Lynch could bring to that movie. And as much of a failure as it is, I am glad it exists.